On the 2nd of April 2015, gunmen stormed the Garissa University College, killing 148 people and injuring at least 79.
Namkanga unaangalia who has texted me, who has posted, So I was on my bed just scrolling my phone. At that point, I had a loud bang.
At dawn on April 2nd, 2015, heavily armed gunmen attacked the university campus in Garissa. They went door to door, shooting students. Survivors say they singled out Christians.
I actually said just as a comment, na leo siyo ameomba na nguvu. So we didn't know at that point that is when they were getting shot.
She told me they have shot the watchman, and I was like, really? It involves even the shooting. I thought it's just not that serious.
Gladys Thuo was 18 years old at the time. She was a first-year student and had been at the school for just 6 months.
I remember that time when I got the text that I'm joining Garissa University. I didn't want to go. I was so decided I'm not going. So when I called my dad telling him I've seen that I've been placed in Garissa University, I was like, okay. And I was there telling him, no, I don't want to join Garissa University because I had had a lot of stories about the insecurity there. So I didn't want to join there. So for him, he was okay. He was not about to change his mind. I am going to Garissa University. So I remember I would wake up every day convincing him to take me to another school, but it didn't work. So fast forward the day of joining the school. So we left with my mom, my dad, very early in the morning to Garissa. So I remember that day when we got to Garissa town, my dad was there encouraging me, telling me, can you see the town is so big, you'll be having fun here, to encourage me that Garissa is not a bad place anyway. Plus, he had other people who were living in Garissa that he knew, so he would encourage me and tell me, but we have so-and-so in Garissa, she has been existing here for the longest time without any kind of insecurity. I love mathematics, I love working with numbers, so I was called to do bachelor's in business management, which was more of mathematics, yeah? So it was so exciting for me to actually work on, or rather to study what I love.
As a young girl full of joy and zeal in pursuit of her dreams, Gladys didn't know that a major hurdle would soon be on her way.
In the month of April, we have Easter celebrations. So it was around that time, Easter period. And Kitambo, at that time, every time we had Easter holidays, we would spend, I believe, in spending Easter and Christmas period with family. So I called my dad and told him, since it's Easter, I will be coming home. And since he lived at Mwingi, Mwingi is on your way to Garissa, you have to go through Mwingi. So he was working at Mwingi. So I told him to wait for me so that we can go back home together because he was also on holiday. So that was on the 1st of April now. I set my alarm to 4:30 a.m. That is the next morning so that I can wake up, prepare and leave early.
When that alarm rang, her anticipation for the day built.
Namkanga unaangalia who has texted me, who has posted, So I was on my bed just scrolling my phone. At that point, I had a loud bang the first time. And I remember asking my roommates if they had the same, and they said they didn't hear anything. And around that time, we had CU members. They were praying in a certain room behind our hostel, before you get to a hostel. So that's on that day, every day they had prayers, but on that day I had them praying so loudly. So I actually said just as a comment, "Ai, na leo sio ameomba na nguvu." So we didn't know at that point that is when they were getting shots. Yeah, so that was, I had the first bang. They didn't hear it. So the second time I had another bang. So I asked my roommates if they had the same thing, and they told me yes they did, but we didn't pay so much attention to it because we hear bangs from time to time. So at that point we were everyone was doing their thing. So that time we had a loud bang, and this time it came with a lot of light towards our window, our hostel window. Now at that point now we knew everything is not okay.
Though not known to Gladys and her friends at the time, the gunmen were making their way into the university as the heavy gunfire ensued.
We jumped out of our beds. We were now outside our hostel. We were now confused. Everyone was everywhere. Everyone was trying to run. We didn't know what to do next. So me and my roommates, we decided let's go back to our room and lock ourselves inside, which we did. We went back in, and Garissa is a very hot place. So most of us, we slept in panties, or maybe you sleep just like that, you know. We actually had people running just naked, but they got assistance from the neighboring community with clothes and also lessons to cover themselves. At that point now I'm crying. I'm a crybaby. So at that point I'm crying. I called my dad and I told him I can hear gunshots and I do not know what is going on. So he asked me, "Are you guys not striking?" Because the last semester we had a strike. So he was maybe confirming if it was another strike. So I told him no, there's no strike that had been planned. So he told me so he asked me where I was. I told him I was under the bed. And he told me just to lie there. He'll be calling me back to confirm what is going on.
Miles away, at a different university, Gladys' sister, Margaret, recalls a rather unsettling morning that would carry with it the devastating news.
So when I called her, she was speaking in very low tones. She told me, "I'm under the bed and we've been attacked." And that's where now I think my day was disoriented from that point. So that day I had an exam later in the day. And so of course I had to prepare and go to school. So I prepared. It was a distance walking to school. So by the time I was getting to school, it was about 10 a.m. And we were still communicating with her, and she told me they have shot the watchman. And I was like, really? It involves even the shooting. I thought it's just not that serious, but when she told me they've shot the watchman, I was like, shooting. So by the time I got to school, now it was confirmed it's Al-Shabaab. And from then I couldn't even read for the cat. I was not there, like my mind was just somewhere else. So even when I went to do the cat, I don't know what I wrote in that paper. So I kept following with the news, speaking to her to hear what is happening. And sometimes when you call her, you'd hear the gunshots from behind.
Blaring sirens, chaos and unending gunfire filled the air. The news of a terror attack had circulated, and with that, a lot of fear and anxiety for Gladys and her friends.
So we would keep also watching and following up what is going on. So we'd see the situation is worsening, and then at first I didn't think it's that serious. Then now I'm seeing there are killings, people are dying, panic got into us, but still we kept pushing. Yeah, it was very serious.
So at around 11ish, there was a time the gunshots died down. There were no gunshots, and we thought maybe the operation is now done. I remember I went to the window, the hostel window, and I peeped, and I could see no one. The place was deserted. There was no one. And at that point, we were tempted to leave, but when we were thinking about it, we now had some more gunshots. We now decided, no, we're not moving. We'll just stay here. So we stayed there, just lying on the floor. It's around 12-ish, 1-ish, around that time. So the hostels were built in a way that we had hostels facing each other. So at that time, the hostels on the other side, the hostels facing our hostel, we had a knock on the door. And the man was saying, kuna watu ndani. So at that point, we were now shocked. I called my dad and told him, I can hear someone knocking on the other side, and wanauliza if kuna watu ndani. And my dad froze for some time. He didn't answer right then. So he later answered me and he told me that wakikuja, when they come there and knock on the door, do not open unless they say they are the KDF.
This remains a rather tense moment as Gladys reflects because it had a lot of unknowns.
At that time he said, ni KDF, kuna watu ndani. I do not know why, but I was the first to stand up and go open the door. So I went, opened the door, and luckily it was the KDF. The reason why I'm saying luckily, it's because the same statement that was used was the same statement that the attackers, the Al-Shabaab, were using on the other side of the hostel, saying they were the KDF, and once you opened the door, that was it for you. So luckily they were the KDF, and they came in, they asked me if I'm alone. I told them no, I have some other people inside. And they came in and asked the other roommates to just stand, we need to go. I remember that time I was going back to look for my ID because I knew Garissa, you have to walk around with your IDs. And at that point the KDF was like, no, just come as you are, let's go. So we had some of them, we had some KDF at the front, some at the back, and some on the side. So we were now walking down the stairs. Our hostel was in the first floor. So walking down the stairs, I remember seeing a lot of blood, and it was now a shock for me because I didn't know it was this bad. So we now walked down the stairs, and then we were moved to a place behind our hostel where we had some other survivors.
What would follow next was a daunting task that would take them to a point of safety.
We were now told once they say it's time to run, we are not supposed to run and not stop unless you hear gunshots. If you hear gunshots, you should lie down, wait for them to die down, and then start running again. So we had these trenches, I think we call them carafats. Yeah, the trenches at Zamaji. So we were supposed to enter in those trenches. Luckily they were in our school, they were now, we had a lot of them. So it was easy for us to hide in them when we had gunshots. So we were now to enter in those trenches and then run. When you hear gunshots, you lie down, and the cycle continued. So when we got to the main gate, we found some other survivors from the other side, from the second year's side, but now another hostel, some mini hostels that were there. So it was so exciting to see some other survivors there. And we actually thought we were the only survivors because we didn't know that we had other people who had run away and jumped over the fence.
Gladys could identify some of her friends, but one stuck with her as she could not see him anywhere. She became anxious.
I remember when I was in the hostel before the KDF came to save us, I had texted him asking him where he was, and he texted back telling me he's under the bed, and I told him that's okay, I'm also under the bed, we will get help soon. So that was it. He didn't reply back. And that was the last time we talked with him. So when we came back to the hostel, to the camp, he was not there. So every time we had people coming in from the school, I would go and check, and unfortunately I wouldn't find him. So remember now it was now at 3 p.m. We still have people being held hostage. like at around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., that is the time we had rescue squad coming in to now save the people from the other side. And I remember there was a girl who was saved from the hostage side, and she was telling us that the Al-Shabaab had enough time to kill, and they actually sat down to now start to storytelling because they were done with killing. They had no one else to kill. So when the rescue squad came in, it did not take them a long time, maybe less than an hour, and they were done with the operation.
After the operation was complete, the survivors had to stay at the camp for a debrief and would later be released to join their respective families.
I got to see my mom and my dad. That was the happiest moment, I must say. And Dad, being an African dad, they don't hug easily. So that was the first time I ever actually got a hug from him. And it was so emotional. Like, a lot of things were going inside my mind. Like, imagining if I was not, I don't even want to imagine, but a lot was going on in my mind. But that moment, I must say, was the best moment.
I came home so that now we could wait for her. And then I think my auntie she also came home. So we were together at home we were just now waiting for her. I think that now was on Saturday, that's when she was coming. And we were very eager to receive her. So for me, I didn't manage to go exactly where my parents went to pick her. But when she came back, we were so happy. We even had a service. We prayed, we thanked God. I remember when she came, she was not hagwa mevas and like a spaghetti top, and she was scantily dressed. And then she was not smelling well. She was not smelling well, but all the same we said, yeah, it's good, at least we have someone who is alive, unlike if it was not that way.
Gladys acknowledges the power of our Lord Jesus Christ in seeing her through that tragic day, and till date remains ever so grateful.
So I find myself so lucky, and I feel like God loves me so much, because later on we came to share experiences, and I came to understand how close I was to death. When remember our hostel was near the gates, so when we had the gunshots, a lot of people ran. So the number of people that were left behind, they were so little. So when they got to the first floor, I had a friend who was in the second room. So she was telling us one of the attackers actually went in the first room and he shot around. Then when he was about to proceed to the other rooms, he got a call because they had the phone ringing. He got a call and they had him talking in those languages. So he talked with whoever he was talking with him. So instead of him proceeding to the other rooms, he just went back. He didn't now proceed to our rooms now. So I always try to imagine if he actually moved to the next room and he saw there were other people, he would have been motivated to actually move to room by room. Because we feel like the reason as to why he didn't proceed to the other rooms is because he went through the rooms on the ground floor. They didn't find anyone. So probably they saw even the first floor, there's no one in the first room. Probably there's no one else in other rooms.
When she came back for us, it was, first of all, we saw the hand of God in all this. Because all this, it was the leading of God from the very beginning, even before we knew it ourselves. God was already in it. He had already seen all that, and then he prompted us to stand on the gap on her behalf. And us seeing her coming back home alive, it was so much, we were so filled with a lot of gratitude to God. We just know it's God who saved her.
As part of the recovery process for the victims, the government provided group counseling sessions which were key for Gladys. Her family being there for her meant everything.
It was so hard to be open and to let it out. with everyone else watching, you know. But with time, the counselors were kind enough to let us know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let it out, because the more you speak about it, the more it gets easier. So the more we were sharing, the more we would cry with each other, the more the more we shared, the more it got easier. Yeah, and also support from family. I got a lot of support from my family. I remember there was a time I was sleeping, and I was sleeping alone. So waking up in the morning, I'm finding my mom sleeping next to me. So I was like, ulifika hapa saa ngapi? So she told me that when sleeping, she had me making a lot of noise, and I was in a lot of distress. So that is why she came and slept with me to maybe calm me or something.
I can say during that time, she was really a wreck emotionally. She used to cry a lot, even receiving news of her friends not being there, attending those burials. She was not herself. But over the years, we've seen her being able to get back to herself. She's still in the process, not yet there, but at least we've seen some healing on her. She used to be so afraid when she went somewhere. She just wanted to see how she can escape. Like there was some trauma in her, but God has been faithful. At least she's being able to recover over the years.
The government committed help in terms of scholarships for the survivors to continue their studies, but this was not done in equal measure.
We had people getting scholarships to study in Italy. We had others who they had paid scholarships in Moi University. Yeah, but not everyone. Some of us, me included, did not get any kind of assistance after that. But I thank Kirinyaga County. They came through for us, because when we left school and we were moved to our homes, that is on Saturday, we left without anything. It was just you and you. So we didn't have clothes, we didn't have anything. So Kirinyaga County, they actually held a fundraising for us, and they gave us some money to go shop for clothes and anything we needed. So I can say for that, they tried. Yeah. Moving forward, I was now able to specialize with banking and finance, which was exciting. A normal comrade, kawaida too, you know. And we got done with school in August 2019, but I graduated in December 2019.
In as much as it was not enough, at least they showed that concern, and also the county government coming through for them, supporting them somehow financially and all that. It was good, and even giving them an opportunity to go study to another school. They would have been told to go back to the same school, but given that they considered the situation and saw it fit for them to move to another school and be able to complete their studies, that was a good thing from them. And also the scholarships that other got, that was also good, considering that most of the students there, they were not from well-up families. So given that the government came through for them, some were paid for school fees, sponsorship and all that, it was something good from the government. Yeah.
One question that lingers in Gladys's mind is the rescue response time by the government agencies. It is clear that a more proactive response would have saved more lives.
If at all they knew that Rescue was how we were going to get assist or rather help, they would have done it earlier. I didn't understand why we had Rescue coming by road, and from Nairobi to Garissa, that's 6 hours. For them to kill everyone and have time to sit down, then that means they had a lot of time. So you can imagine if Rescue, they actually got to Garissa by air, it would have been easier for them. They would have gotten there after maybe 2 hours or three hours, yeah? And you can imagine how many lives would have been saved if they were there on time. So the response time was so bad. I feel like the Garissa University attack is given, so it is not given as much weight as the other attacks, that is the Dusit, the bomb blast, the other one from Westgate. Yeah, they pay so much attention to them. I believe their lives mattered and they still matter. So them trying to forget them just like that, it's not fair for them. Maybe it's because we were not from rich families, probably. But anyway, they were innocent souls that paid a price that they were not supposed to pay for.
Even as Gladys looks beyond that traumatic day, the events of that day are not lost to her as they still affect her life to date.
Whenever I hear loud bangs, it really gets to me, and I don't know, I just start breaking down, or I probably start looking for a way to how I'm going to escape if actually if it's something bad. And also before, when we got from the attack, at first whenever I heard the sirens from ambulances, it was bad for me. I would start breaking down. Wherever I was, I would start breaking down because it brought a lot of memories of the people we lost. And also whenever I'm in a place that is enclosed, I have to look for entrances and exits, and as well as I have to look for a place that if anything happens, I can hide. Yeah. So till now, I can say how I've been able to handle them. I've not been able to handle them because I actually still do that.
It is not all gloomy and bleak for Gladys. She has a lot to look forward to in life and is filled with desire to see her dreams come to life.
I'm now a mom of one lovely boy. He's called Amari. He's turning 9 months soon. And having Amari has been a blessing to me. One, it's because he's a big distraction for me. I tend to not think so much about what happened in the past, and he gives me a reason to look forward to another day. He gives me a reason to know that it always gets better with time. And now that I've already graduated, I'm looking forward to having a job that is going to help me give him a good life, and help me to give him the life that he deserves.
Gladys, my sister, I want to tell you that we love you so much, and we are really, really thankful to God that He gave us another chance to be with you. And all we can say is that God loves you so much, and I know the reason He kept you is because He has a purpose for you of which you have not fulfilled, and I know He has great plans for you. So I'm just wishing you all the best as your sister, and know I'm always here to support you, and I'm championing for you to go out there, do your thing, be able to fulfill that purpose that God has given you. Never give up in life. No matter the challenges that you go through, always know that God is on your side. So stand firm and be able to move on and to do great things. Yeah.
As the lights go off on this story, we light candles in loving memory of the 148 souls that departed that day, and continue praying for hope and restoration for those that survived.
So to my fellow comrades, that is the survivors, I will tell them it's okay not to be okay, and we do not have a timeline for you to heal from the trauma. It was a traumatic experience, and the experience ahead is not the same experience someone else had. Probably I actually didn't have a much traumatic experience as someone else. So what I will tell them is find something that works for you. If it's counseling, get it from a professional. If it's working out that is distracting you and making your mind easy, just do it. And I would also advise them to, or urge them to, find a way to not to forget about it, but find a way to live with it, and not to let it bring you down.
For the departed souls, we just say that they continue resting in eternal peace.